economy from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And of course, good morning to the world, receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by whom? We the people. The same people who created AI, we the people. The same people's, the intelligence and artificial intelligence ain't all that artificial because it's a conglomeration of everything we know, everything we did, etc. It's a lot to talk about. We're not talking about AI today, I don't think, but without further ado, let's go to the geniuses in the studio. We have Jacques Van Bebbe and the one and only Mayana.
The one and only Egberto.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother. How you doing today?
I'm good. You got anything, Miana?
Not just yet. I'm just going to wait and see what you come up with.
All right. Okay. Today's Politics Done Right dives into the moral, political, and economic crossroads confronting America. Speaker Mike Johnson's cold indifference towards a grieving military mother exemplifies the GOP's descent into cruelty. Meanwhile, Republicans' government shutdown threatens health care access for millions, including their own voters, as even Marjorie Taylor Greene admits, and the working class Americans struggle to survive. Candidates like Zoran Mamdani and Adam Planter are proving that centering living wages and affordability isn't just moral, it's electorally powerful. This episode dissects the GOP's hypocrisy, exposing the economic pain their ideology inflicts, and celebrates the growing movement reclaiming moral and political sanity from the grassroots up. Nice introduction, man.
I'm really appreciating how... Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mayana.
I say I'm really appreciating how Marjorie Taylor Greene seems to be getting an understanding of things that are happening and is actually saying something. It's actually surprising to me. So I'm thinking maybe there were things before that she didn't officially understand, and as she's there, she's becoming more aware. And at least this is my hope, because I'm excited by that, But she's
I think
getting into it.
We should all be excited by that. In fact, after I do a little short soliloquy, I'm going to play something that's going to make you even happier with Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's amazing, isn't it? What the people power can do for you, don't you think?
Boom, boom.
I love that. Boom, boom. Anyway, let's go ahead and get busy. Wait, before I get busy, Jack, did you have anything else to talk about? You are going to be a star? No? Okay. All right. I'll leave that alone. All right. Okay. Hey, let's get busy. Folks, first of all, I want to give a big, humongous shout out to Conroe, Texas. I love you guys. I am so proud of you guys. Remember yesterday, we had an activist in Conroe sent me a text. Egberto, you need to say this on the radio. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. Whatever you say, ma'am. No, actually, that's how, activists, we have to corroborate all over. But she said that they're attempting to pass an emergency ordinance that was going to, for people to protest, they're going to have to buy $1 million bond and also pay at least a $500 deposit and overtime pay and all of that for office, all that kind of crap. What it really was to deny people their First Amendment rights to protest by using some sort of a legal framework to do so. And I got that entire day, I'd been feeling these calls from folks who are saying, hey, did you see what happened? And different folks are like, I don't think I'm going to go out to the thing because we're 25 people or more get together. They're going to need this. And I pointed out, look, just make sure that the organizer of that event isn't there. But remember, everybody can go out with a sign. They have their free First Amendment right to simply walk on the street and get together. And as long it's not organized, they're just going out there with a sign on the street. They have the right to do that. And if 10,000 people decide to do that, they can. And you have a lot of people that were kind of scary about doing this and whatever. Well, I got a call from another activist yesterday afternoon, and he called and he said, man, I'm going to that meeting. They got the paper, they got the emails out that says this stuff was going to happen. So they all were going to the city council meeting to take care of that. And when he showed up, there were over 200 people out there. People don't go to no damn city council meeting. A lot of these guys usually have free reign. Well, they were out there and they were talking for the, no, this is incorrect. Well, they tabled the ordinance that they were going to attempt to do. But not only that, apparently, some one of those members tried to give the impression that this was for safety and that it was a chief of police who wanted that ordinance. They wanted to defer blame to make it seem like they weren't trying to stifle First Amendment rights. Well, the chief came out and made it clear, I had nothing to do with this. The power of the people. I repeat, the power of the people. All these guys can put on their bully pants, but once you push back, there will always be paper tigers, because you, my brothers and sisters out there, you all are the powerful ones. Whoops, I didn't start my Substack. Anybody who sent messages via Substack, forgive me, I started it late. But you guys are the powerhouses. You guys do it. So on October 18th, we don't have to have big rallies in one place. Wherever I am not a Christian anymore. I'm a humanist, okay? But I remember going to church, and I remember what they defined what a church was, or what praising, whatever it is you do. Wherever two or more meet in my name, or something like that, was the Bible verse. Man, that's a long time ago. Hi. Wherever two or more meet is a church. Wherever two or more meet for no kings to point out your dissatisfaction with what's going on here, you've got a rally. So print up your signs to show your support for freedom, to show your support for democracy, to show your support for what is right. Wherever 2 or 200 or 2,000 or 20,000 or 200,000 get together. But get out of your house. Get out of your apartment. Get out of your hostel. Get out of wherever you are, and show the American, or rather, show this fraudulent government that you mean business. They will abide by our democracy. They will abide by our democracy. So please, guys, again, let's give a big shout out to Conroe, Texas. Big shout out to Conroe, Texas. Welcome aboard, Ma Wilkinson. Mary B says, inspiring. You are absolutely right, Mary B. Stephen Rosenzweig, will ICE incite violence? They'll try. What I tell people who are going out there to protest, have love in your heart. And I mean this, I genuinely mean this. Because if you go out there with love in your heart, when you have those people that are trying to incite, give them a smile and just say, hey, love you, brother, love you, sister. I'm telling you why. They might try to incite, and you can bust their. You see, they need a reaction out of you. They need you to react, to give them that necessary pushover, to exert. Don't give them that. Stephen Rosenwood from Norway. Well, we're all over. We're all over, baby. Cheryl Elkin says, good morning. Nobel Peace Prize announcement this morning. So inspiring and a strong message to the world. And so, Maria Corina Machado of Venezuela. Amen. Good morning, LBW. La Profesora LBW says, good morning. Joining on my day off. Well, thank you. I'm honored. I am really, really honored. Anyway, I want to start this way. Have you ever driven past faster than the speed limit? Sometime even 15, 20 miles past speed limit? I know I have. I've broken the law when I did that. Have you ever done something that is illegal? I've done that. Sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. Laws are necessary, and laws should be followed most of the times. Actually, all of the times. But, you know, as human beings, sometimes we take shortcuts, sometimes we do other things, you know. And that's just reality. That's just reality. Now, people come and they live in places they're not supposed to. There are people who move into a school district, or rather, who claim they live in a school district, an adjacent school district or something, because they want their kids going to a school that they think is better for the kid. All kinds of things people do. And many times the law enforcement or the people know, and they choose not to enforce the law. And even if they do enforce the law, they do it with a tap on the wrist and etc., etc., etc. So if you can see in your family, your friends, your loved ones, people sort of break laws, nothing fatal. They don't kill somebody, harm somebody, but they break laws. Laws are necessary to maintain order. Okay? Now, undocumented workers break laws, and it's a civil law just like any other kind of law that they break, because they're looking for something better for themselves. Usually people break laws where it's some advantage to them as human beings, right? When the Pilgrims came to the United States, nobody gave them permission to be on land that was held by other people, but they did it. They did it in a bad way, right? They had, in the long run, a genocide all the way from coast to coast, right? They also, in order for capitalist reasons, enslaved people, put people in indentured servitude from China, all of that. Those things were done. Those were bad things, right? That is something that needed a penalty for. But, you know, somebody deciding to come over here and they got over here. Look, let me tell you something. If I am to hire somebody and it were legal, right? And I had two people vying for the job, and I know there's one of them that went through the Darién jungle. That's a deep, deep jungle in my country, Panama. They walked from Colombia. They walked up the Darién jungle. If you ever see what the Darién jungle looks like, you know what I'm talking about. They walked through Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, up through Mexico, into Texas. If I'm hiring and it were legal, I want that person working for me. That is a special person. That is somebody who's willing to get a lot done. Even the Pilgrims, the settlers that roamed over the Atlantic Ocean and came here, those are special people, because they, for changing, for doing something, they did some things that most people wouldn't do. Those are special people. That's why America can do so much, because of how people got here. It's not easy, especially in its early days, right? It's not easy. In these new days, it's not easy. But we have a lot of undocumented workers that are here. Yesterday on my 3 o'clock show, I showed what an ICE agent was doing to a human being, a woman, slamming her to the ground as she screamed at her as she was taking her daughter to school. Slamming to the ground a human being. A lot of you out there, you are human. And if you see that on any, if you see an officer doing that to any American, you would feel some sort of angst, right? But you have been taught to look at certain people, and what the hateful plutocracy has done to your mind is to make you believe that that is deserving. So when that brown immigrant is thrown and slammed to the ground by ICE, in your mind, your psyche goes ahead and tries to rationalize it. They deserved it. They did something so bad that they deserve being slammed on the ground because they're stealing, they're taking something of ours, they're taking something from us. That is how your psyche have been taught to rationalize that. When you see a cop slam a black dude on the ground, your mind has been rationalized to say those people did something that is deserving of that act. You've been screwed, you've been fooled, you've been hoodwinked. You have been led to believe that that undocumented worker is putting an angst on you, that somehow your medical cost is being increased because it's used on them, that somehow you don't have a job because of them, that somehow they are doing something that caused your own insecurities, your own, that something that they did is why you are in the condition you're in, which is false. First of all, a reality check. We need the immigrants more than the immigrants need us. That's a reality. These immigrants have been holding up our social security system now for decades because they pay into it, and that is one section that will never, ever collect a dime from it. These are people that afford us the standard of living that we have because as they come here, before they are completely assimilated, they worked for all practical purpose here at homes that are built, etc., that American folk won't do in the hot Texas sun, in the hot Florida sun, in the hot humid areas. But they make a lot of money for a lot of people because as those homes are built at an affordable price for Americans, etc., and they go buy their washer, their dryer, they go buy their furniture, etc., they create economic activity beyond anything that they cost us as taxpayer by having their kids in our schools. That's the reality that you're not told. And to watch, and by the way, another reality is if you see the downturn in the economy, the downturn on the fincas, the farms, the downturn elsewhere, it's because of their fear of them not going to work, their fear of their labor and their productivity stunted because, again, of an incompetent administration that does not understand economics, that only thinks it can be in power by instilling the hate they can foment in your minds. So let me tell you again, your attack or your support for what's being done to undocumented workers right now harms you more than it harms them. Their personal economy will be harmed temporarily as they're thrown somewhere else. But I tell you what, it harms you much more than it harms them. Hate normally harms the hater more than the hatee. And when we learn that, we'll have a much better society. This is not this that is going on right now is sad. And if when you see that brown person thrown to the ground and slammed like an animal and harmed, some of them being killed, when you see that, if that doesn't turn your heart, if that doesn't give you a feeling of despair, if that doesn't make you go out there and fight for those undocumented workers, if that doesn't give you pause, I ask you to check your heart, I ask you to check your mind, and I ask you to check who you really are. Because I'll be honest with you, if that doesn't play a number on you, you are one person I want to stay as far away from, because that shows such an evil heart. Again, it is okay that you have felt that way. But now that you know some realities, now that you can give it context, if you still feel that way, anyhow, let's go to Kenny. Come on in, Kenny.
Hey, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Just wanted to add a little extra context. You know,
go ahead, my brother.
You talk about illegal or undocumented workers just trying to get by. The problem you have is, if you just use one example, every apartment maintenance man who ever learns how to use a set of gauges is all of a sudden an air conditioned man. I grew up in my father's license was number 102 in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
We had general liability. We had workman's comp. Well, all the trucks were insured. We had licenses. We had everything that you're supposed to have. But the industry has been destroyed by people who were just unlicensed, uninsured, out there doing it out of the back of their truck for nothing. If you had a choice of paying $3,000 to get a system, or you had a choice of paying $6,000 for a system, which one are you going to pick?
The $6, of course. If they can do the same job
almost every service industry.
Yes.
And if the laws need to be changed, if we want to give people work permits and make everything even and make everybody have the same insurance, I'm for it. But that's not the way it is.
Let me tell you that.
Let's be honest about what happens with illegal workers. Mm-hmm. I'll hang up and listen.
No, don't hang. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. I need to talk to you, because what you're saying is so very important, very, very important. Because that is the argument that the people who put that in your head, and I understand that what you're saying is actually very true, right? But let's be real.
I lived it. I lived it.
I know that. I know that. And I don't want to discount that you've lived it, because it's true. It is true. But it isn't an undocumented worker solely doing that to make a buck, right? Doing an unlicensed job, or rather, doing the job of someone that should be unlicensed. That happens all over, whether they're undocumented workers or not. What we have is how we fight an issue. If we have an issue where people are working, working as you said, let's change the law to allow that cannot be done. But just like an unlicensed air conditioned worker can be undocumented, they can also be documented as well. And I can guarantee you that because we're close to by the way, what you've just shown is undocumented workers are very resourceful, right? Because another question, are they doing a good job at that discounted price?
It's hard to say. Probably some are.
And by the way, are some licensed people that are doing a bad job?
Absolutely.
Great. So what the reason I'm asking you this, sir, is I'm saying that the answer is not to throw out, or it's not to be violent and how we deal with the undocumented worker. The answer is to try to create policies that mitigate that happening, whether it's an undocumented worker doing the job on the cheap, or a documented person or an American citizen doing it. You see, the meat packers that hire all these undocumented workers, right? They don't get in trouble. The person getting in trouble is that what we see done to the undocumented worker. If you're a capitalist, right? And by the way, I shouldn't, if it's a capitalist, I should see free enterpriser. If there is a demand, somehow in a free society that demand is met, right?
Well, the difference, sir, is recourse.
Yes.
So if I'm a licensed, insured person and I do a bad job, they go back against my license.
Yes.
They claim against my insurance. But
Right.
if somebody is just winging it, there is no recourse. There's no place as a consumer that I can go back and seek redress.
Agreed.
So,
I
I
agree with you. I agree with you. Let's not talk past each other. I agree with you. My question to you, my friend, is mitigating the animalistic behavior that we have with undocumented workers now, or to ensure, let me give you some laws that we could put into existence to mitigate that. Is it illegal for you think that's a bad thing? Is it illegal for me as an individual person to go ahead and hire an undocumented worker?
I don't believe it is. It should be.
Okay, there. Let's stop right there.
It is if you're a business owner.
Right, and what I'm saying
You have to
now,
use the Social Security check system,
right?
and it is to hire people that you can't pay.
Okay, good.
Social
Okay,
Security tax on.
we're getting somewhere. Is it illegal for me to smoke crack in my house?
It should be. I'm not sure if it is or not.
No, it is. It is. If a cop comes in and see me smoking crap, I go to jail. Okay. The reason I point that is,
He's in your house, so how would he know?
no, I exactly right, but it is illegal. In other words, if somebody sees some sort of smoke and they say, "Hey, there's a problem there," if I'm found to do that, I can get arrested, and that enough is a deterrent from people doing that, right? So what I'm saying is, I am not. Look, I don't know everything, but I know that we can write laws to mitigate certain things, right? So if we put into law that before you have a handyman in your home or whatever, he has to present XYZ documents, that could actually mitigate some of these issues. What I'm saying is, what we have is a corporatocracy that wants to do two things, right? They want to do a wink wink. This is what I'm doing. Like the meat packers, they make a lot of money by paying a whole lot of undocumented workers less money for a job because they don't want to pay Americans what Americans would want to work for. Let's solve that problem, because if you don't have the demand, the supply will not come. Supply side economics is a fraud. If you have a demand, the supply will come. And who is the supply right now? If you have people hiring people that are undocumented to do this kind of work, then that demand will not, that supply will not be there. What I'm trying to tell you, Ken, is the following. Our system has used the angst that you have, which is a valid thing, what you're speaking about. And instead of solving the problem, they put hate in your heart to go against these guys instead of trying to solve the real problem. That's all I'm saying here. And the real problem is to make it that people don't want to do, they come here because the job is here, right? If we put those restrictions on, we would take care of the problem, or not completely, but to mitigate the problem. And that is where I'm at right now. What we're doing is inhumane, violent, and I think you'd have to agree with that.
Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree.
No, tell me. Disagree. What are we disagreeing? What are we disagreeing? What are we disagreeing on?
Well, so a couple things. Machado is right wing. She just got the Nobel Peace Prize and a Trump supporter, but yet you don't get that side. You don't get that side from the news.
Well, I don't understand. Go ahead.
Let me just finish with this.
Okay.
Let me finish with this. I love your show,
Yes, sir.
but I hate the opening where it talks about the race war.
The race war.
And in an era where people are shooting off the tops of buildings, people are taking over, or standing in front of ICE vehicles, and then all of a sudden it's ICE's fault because they got to pull out of a building. The left is really, really wishing for a fight. Kind of like, and to be honest with you, and I hate to even use this example, but this is just like Hamas, wishing for a fight. And then once they get it, they play victim. So, just all I ask is that let's share a little love all the way around. Realize there's problems on both sides, and try to keep it real.
Look, first of all, I want to thank you for this communication. Wait, don't leave it. Kenny. I think. Oh gosh, he hung up. I want him to stay on because that is the kind of conversation that I think we should be having with sort of what we had there with Kenny. I really do think that is the kind of conversation we need to have. And what I wanted to bring up with Kenny is I wanted Kenny to itemize where he, because you notice he said people looking for a fight, etc. I'm not looking for a fight. I'm looking for solutions, right? And the other thing that I wanted Kenny I was going to hold Kenny longer on the line is I wanted Kenny to tell me the actual things that he differed with me on, because Kenny came here on the undocumented issue. And I think what I did between me and Kenny on the undocumented issue is, first of all, agree with Kenny with what the problem is. And I think where the solution is that what the Trump administration is doing is using Kenny's angst to inflict hate in the policies to solve what Kenny's angst are. And it's something that I think need to be handled. And I really wanted that conversation to go further. Let's go to Jimmy. Come on in, Jimmy.
Egberto.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hey, I have a little insight on this.
Yes.
Okay, it's not the immigrant, it's the exploitation of the greedy capitalists that have destabilized the immigrants' country, driving them north to be exploited. They are hobbling the licensed contractor to exploit the cheap labor to make their business fail so the corporate can fill that niche.
Yeah, you nailed it, right? That's exactly right. We've spoken about that before, but I wanted
bait and switch. Bait and switch.
Exactly, and I wanted to bring that into context with what Kenny was saying, because Kenny is absolutely right with the issue about him having to pay the insurance and the licensing, etc. You can't just discard what he said. But what we need to work on is make sure that what we're talking about is humane. What the Trump administration is doing right now is inhumane. What he's attempting is inhumane. And even I wanted to bring Kenny to see where he's at, to see where he thinks differences between himself and myself are, and I don't think he would find a whole lot. Let's go to Jimmy.
Also.
Oh wait, go ahead. Finish. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. It's it's the same thing that they did when they bought in big box retail and drove out the mom and pop business.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Same thing to the contractors.
I am glad you brought that up. And what did I tell Kenny? We can write laws to mitigate these things, because under capitalism, the big box store is the next iteration. And under true pure capitalism, we shouldn't be able to stop it, because the definition of capitalism is the efficient allocation of resources. And as far as what the God of capitalism says, Milton Friedman, it's also you should think of no social issues. You should just think about maximizing the profits for the shareholders, and that doesn't work. Let's go to Jimmy.
Happy Friday, Roberto.
Happy Friday, brother.
I'm really happy that this Texas man's execution was held up.
Yes.
Because it would have been a big miscarriage of justice. He was sentenced to death for killing his 2-year-old child and there's really no evidence that he did that. But the child was ill, and it probably died of illness. I cannot think of the man's name. Do you have the name?
No, I don't. I can't remember right now, but I know who you mean.
Anyway, I'm really glad that execution was held up, because it was a really big miscarriage of justice to execute a man when there was no evidence that he killed this child, and the child probably died of natural causes. They thought he died of a shaken baby syndrome. So I'm really glad that execution was held up.
Yeah, I know. I think I was never convinced that really happened, but who am I? I got you. Anything else, Jimmy?
By the way, when I was in St. Simon's Island, I could not only hear your program, I could watch you talking on my iPhone by downloading the APFT app.
Well, look, I appreciate you, my brother. I didn't realize that the KPFT app also showed the videos, but thank you, brother.
It was great. Tremendous high technology.
There you go. Thank you, Jimmy. You have a wonderful rest of your day. And let's go to Brother John from Minneapolis.
I wanted that, unregulated capital is what is causing because licensure should be for any industry. Anybody that practices that particular craft or should be licensed. And, it's owners of these are playing one group another could get the cheapest price. And I think that it would affect the that they are showing in their work, unlicensed. In healthcare, that he was licensed. They had to be licensed. Even though they may be recruited from other countries, they had to meet qualifications. So I don't think that that's a problem, except.
Hey, are you on a speakerphone?
Mentioned it. Yeah, go ahead.
Because you're squelching out. Yeah, when you're talking, could you come off the speakerphone, because we're missing every third word or so.
Okay, just.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I wanted to say was that they're playing one group against another. Unbridled and unregulated capitalism is what really is causing this issue. I live thousands of miles from the border, but especially like companies that like Archer Daniel Midland and Cargill, they're hiring people who are undocumented, and they never get any blowback from the government. It's always the people themselves who they attack. And so it's just it's a theater. They're creating this issue and they offer up the undocumented people as red meat to people who feel disgruntled, but they should be disgruntled at the system itself that creates this problem. And it's unbridled capitalism, unregulated capitalism that allows unlicensed people to do the work.
John, let me just say one thing, right? Because people hear me talk against capitalism a lot, and I think sometimes it offends people. And what I hope to do is take away some myths, because even right now, as you're speaking, you're talking about what is really bad is unfettered capitalism, or you called it something else, unregulated capitalism. Let me tell you, once you regulate capitalism, it's no longer capitalism. And that's what I'm trying. I'm trying to get people honesty in definition of in economic systems. Once you regulate capitalism, it's not capitalism. Capitalism by design is regulated. When what's her name, Elizabeth Warren came out with a sensitive capitalism or something like that, I kind of laughed at it, because capitalism by design, by definition, is unregulated. Once you start to regulate
Yeah.
certain things, you have to talk about it being a different economic system. I believe in having capitalism and things like if you have a restaurant, if you have all these things that people don't have to have, they get it if the price is right. That is what unfettered capitalism should be, and I believe in unfettered capitalism in those kinds of arenas. But in other arenas, in my humble opinion, we should have it where things are, as you just mentioned, fully regulated. Once something is fully regulated, it ain't capitalism. It is some part of socialism.
I mean, it's a definition that I kind of disagree in the sense that we have had regulated capitalism for like over 100 years. Capitalism has evolved to the point where it has to be regulated, or else capitalism in and of itself will destroy itself, and that's where we're at. Actually, it's creating a problem, and it's not just here; it's around the world.
I gotta go, John. But I think one of these days we'll just have a thing on definitions, because I think what happens is it's just about definitions that make us. Because I think we agree everything that you just said. I agree with, but definitions and what we call things are what it's all about. Hey, John, I gotta go because I need to play a little something, and I want to get to the other calls as well. But thank you so kindly for listening and coming in. But before I go to Anthony, I want to point out that. With the Nobel Peace Prize winner, earlier I think Brother Kenny said Maria Corina was a Trump ally. Anybody that's not Maduro in Venezuela would become a Trump ally. But Corina is a pretty, what I would call a free enterprise woman, a liberal woman. She's actually from from a more wealthy family, right? And again, pretty good. I don't think anybody can argue that she's one of the unifiers of in Venezuela. But to claim that she has, let's say, right-wing values, I think would be a far stretch. I don't see myself much different than Miss Corina at all. Okay, in Venezuela, I think Maduro has screwed what a lot of Chavez was about, and I don't think. You would see, a lot of Corina's policies would not be all far removed from what Chavez's dream was. Okay? So let's kind of put stuff into some context. Come on in, Anthony.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Jack and everyone. The guy that they held the execution on was Robert Robertson.
Thank you, sir. Yes, exactly.
Okay, now, I would like to say, don't cast your pearls among swine, because you're wasting your time, man, trying to convince some of these people, because the capitalism is when it's unpracticed and unfettered, like Milton Friedman once, it has no conscience. So it allows for things. It causes me to have to make a decision whether I need my medication or pay my light bill.
Yes.
Because the people want to make so much money, and I have to make the decision because medicine is also healthcare. So I agree with you. Certain things should not be capitalized, like the legal system, or healthcare. That all those things should be socialized, because you have situations today where people have saved up a whole nest egg, and then they have a catastrophic illness, and then they're wiped out.
Yes.
They end up in the same cheese line as somebody who's never worked their whole life because of healthcare. It's not fair. And thirdly, these people never punish the CEOs of these companies, because you can actually stop all of this illegal hiring. If you go to the HR department and say, if you don't verify, do your due diligence to verify that the person's a citizen before we hire them, we're going to fine the company first. We'll warn you, fine you, and then the third time, the CEO is going to jail. I guarantee he'll crack down on all of this illegal hiring. The companies are just making profits, and they know they can hire all these he mentioned Archer Daniel, Midway. You have Smithfield Packing. You have Tyson, Purdue. All of these packing plants hire illegal aliens, and it increases the CEO's pay. And then you, in the whole irony to this thing, we give tax breaks to Walmarts because they create the jobs, and then they don't pay a livable wage. Then people still end up getting subsidized food stamps and what have you. And those companies haven't paid enough money into the treasury to support giving out food stamps.
Yes. You know, Anthony, there is an industry, and Fox News is at the top. These right-wing news agencies, it turns good people into bad people. And they do that by not telling the truth and telling the real story. And it also does it by expanding your problem and making your problem something that you can hate others about. And for all of those listen, I don't care whether you're MAGA, liberal, or whatever. And I understand when you tell me, because a lot of people tell me this, stop wasting time trying to convince certain people. Look, I understand that some people are immutable, Anthony. Some people are. The problem is I'm too dumb to know which ones are. You follow what I'm saying? I am too dumb to know exactly who is immutable. And as such, I have to try with all. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, oh my God, I don't.
Look, I'm running out of time. Hey, Anthony, I'm running out of time. You know, this is your place. Talk to me the next day, anytime. But I just want to get to Johnny before I close out. Okay?
Okay, yeah, I like to hear Johnny.
Thank you, brother. Peace. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Two things to remember. When Egberto is talking, can you hear me okay clearly?
Yes, sir, I can.
Is my voice skipping like the guy from Chicago?
No, you're sounding good. You're sounding good.
Okay. So when Egberto is talking to that first caller who may or may not be immutable or unchangeable, it's not for his benefit necessarily, although that would be nice. That'd be a bonus. Egberto is doing this because there's other people listening who are similar to him who may be persuadable over time with repetition, repeating, listening to this radio station and his program in particular. That's what part of Egberto's mission is. So I'm not exasperated by that. I might be exasperated by when he brings up about our side that we're violent enough. He needs to be reminded, I don't remember his name, but we need to remind him that it was at Charlie Kirk's public meetings where one of those people showed up asking, so when do we get to start killing Democrats? And he had his gun with him. That doesn't happen on our side.
That is so true. You know, thank you, Johnny. Thank you for pointing that out. I forgot to say that. Man, I tell you, you listen to my show enough. I love you, brother. I forgot to say that other people are listening and it actually makes a difference as well. Thank you, man. That was an important thing to say.
Yes. And I love you to point out, to remind you that homes would be affordable if these greedy Perry home builders and such passed on the savings they make by employing these undocumented people who are contributing. That would be a positive for our economy. But they keep the price of the house high, and we would never know the difference.
Exactly. You know what is so important as well? For people who think undocumented workers are a drag on society, it's the exact opposite. You go to a 7-Eleven, they're the ones supporting those 7-Elevens with all the things that they buy there as they're going around Kingwood and everywhere else, cutting lawns, etc. And I'm not trying to say that all those folks are undocumented, but quite a few are. They are the ones that are, they're the ones that are, when they pay their rent, they're paying property taxes in the name of the landlord that supports our education. I mean, their contribution to society, because most of the money they spend, most of the money they make gets spent right into our economy, and the monies that they send back to their countries many a times is used to buy American products overseas. So it is so darn amazing. But Johnny, let me go to Derek because I want to play a quick thing afterwards. Okay.
And tomorrow I'll contribute Marjorie Taylor for you guys.
That's what I want to play. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Derek. Come on in, Derek. Real quick for me, Derek.
Hey, I'm going to make it quick. Yes, I just want to say I think you should continue talking to Kenny because in America, most people have been taught to look at things one-sided, and that's just the American way. And no, the truth of the matter is, you can't see, sir, if you're not trying to look with what took place with somebody else. You got to walk into somebody else's shoes to understand. There is not good people on both sides. As Donald Trump said about those racist groups, you gotta look beyond where you at, and that's all I will say.
Thank you. You know what, Derek? I want to add this. Kenny added something to the dialogue that I have to have, right? Because Kenny gave me a specific thing that actually affects him, his family, his business, right? So he gave me context. What I've learned is telling stories is very important, right? Because people live their lives in stories. And if you can tell a story, if I can tell your story, Derek, people will have a much better understanding of you than me just saying, we need to do this, we need to do that, because you have a story. But thank you, Derek. I got to play MTG. Thank you, brother. All right, guys. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know if she can say this on Fox News, but the Fox News listeners need to stop getting snowed by the reality. Listen to Taylor Greene.
There is a new Democrat that's been elected that does deserve to be sworn in. If it's to avoid the discharge petition, why drag this out? That is going to have 218 signatures. And so I say go ahead and do it and get it over with. Prices have not come down. That is a reality. People's wages have not gone up. That's another reality. And so Americans are continuing to have a very difficult time getting by.
All of our countries. Yes, America is continuing to have a difficult time. All right, look, we are close to the end, and I didn't get covered a whole lot of a couple other videos that I wanted to play because we had great conversations from all of you. So what I want to spend this last minute doing before I jump to the studio is our chat is full, and I like to acknowledge however many I can. So Texas Blue Bonnet, thank you for being here. Reyes Nunez, thank you for being here. I read all this stuff. Leda Bearcat, thank you for being here. Harry Denson, Harry, great to hear you. See you again, brother. Lisa Blair from Atlanta here as well. Leda Bearcat, Austin, Texas. Jacqueline Campisi, our professor from Katy, Texas. We also have coming down Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. In our other chats, we have Lauren, Richard Hogan, Stephen Rosingen, NCS, Elisa Seigel, Richard Hogan, Betsy, Mary B. All of these from all over the country, guys. I love all of you. Margaret Ryan, John A. Davis, Cheryl Elkins. You're right, Cheryl. LBW, La Profesora as well. Ma Wilkinson and all that didn't go ahead and stick their name in there. Sandra D. Hey Sandra, how you doing, beautiful? And para ver. I think I got everybody. Let me throw it to the studio.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about to explain, like, when somebody is illegal and they come here and they did all what they did to get here, like you say, walking through the jungle, etc. You got to think about just how desperate they are, you know, and in order to live and support themselves and their family, they're going to try and do what they can in order to make as much as they can, because America is expensive, so that they can, you know, take care of their family. Being mad or upset at them is understandable. But if you had another person who was doing it legally and they also cut the prices, which is very, you know, capitalistic, and then you the person goes with the person who does it at the lower price. Now, if the person's illegal, I do agree that you need to have certain laws that don't allow certain things. You know, they are other jobs, you know, to just fend for yourself until you get your legal situation, figured out. But if you're allowed to do that, why not do something that you're going to make more money at? So I agree with you saying that it's from a different standpoint. You have to look at it. You have to make the rules and regulations so that that's not possible when you've done all what you can in order to get where you are, and somebody else just come and do that. You know what I mean? And they're illegal. So I agree with him in that. But it's understandable. Don't be mad at that person for trying to use the capitalistic system that is in place right now and do what they can to get where they are. You don't like the capitalistic system and you want to, do something about it, then we're going to have to change those rules, because I think it's a good rule. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it, right? That all these people are following the capitalist model. Right. In fact, we do it overseas when we exploit other people. It's exploitation, but that's the definition of capitalism. You notice Derek said brought that into the fold as well as and another caller as well. I mean, we have to look at it at the system, and if we want to change these behaviors, we have to change the system. And I'm glad that you said that the system has to change, because the system is what.
At that person. That person's trying to do what you're trying to do. They're trying to feed their family. They're trying to get the best job they can in any way they can. You know what I mean? And they're just trying to do it, and they know that can be done in America.
Exactly. And the capitalist businesses went into those countries, as Jack was pointing out before, to do what best for them that made them come here. Jack, real quick.
Jack doesn't have anything right now.
Oh, he's cool? All right. Anyway, look, folks, as usual, all the callers have changed the program, but I love you for that. The rest of the program is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You can write me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. kpft@politicsdoneright.com. I love you all. Let's be back here on Monday. Of course, for our paid subscribers, I have some stuff for them on Sunday. But anyway, folks, I want to thank you all. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!